heavy,
bored.
Let's get into that opening chapter right here, because I don't want to. I want everybody. I want to be very clear, and I think I was in the monologue. Vonnegut is one of my favorite authors. He's one of my top 3 influences. Probably always will be. I have almost all his books sitting on my shelf. Almost all. I should complete the collection, but of course I haven't yet. But that first chapter, where he kind of has the famous first line, right? All this happened, more or less, on page 1. Very funny, kind of humorous and evocative first line. But that whole first chapter is basically a story of how he came to write this, when he was trying to write this novel. And it's interesting that he ties it in to the rest of the novel. This isn't just an introduction. This isn't separated from the rest of the book. This isn't him like reflecting, years later for another edition or something like that. It's built into the book. Chapter 1 is basically part of an introduction and setting up this kind of story. And what I was thinking of, this kind of first 22 pages, as I said, is kind of an introduction, but I found myself asking at least the interesting question: what does this do for the novel? Vonnegut's intrusions throughout the book. I think it may have been because it is a clever way to let the reader know that a lot of what happens in the book did happen in real life, while still giving an intro to what this was. And of course, in Vonnegut's style, very clever, etc. And I think he kind of admits in that first couple pages that he believes this book to be a failure. At least he did when he finished it. And the very last thing I want to point to everyone, on page 22 in my version, there's a quote, or quoting the book: "People aren't supposed to look back. I'm certainly not going to do it anymore. I've finished my war book now. The next one I write is going to be fun. This one is a failure, and had to be, since it was written by a pillar of salt. It begins like this. Listen, Billy Pilgrim has come unstuck in time. It ends like this. Potuit. People aren't supposed to look back. I'm certainly not going to do it anymore. This one is a failure, and had to be, since it was written by a pillar of salt." And of course, he's referencing the Bible story of looking back, right, at the city, breaking your promise. Once you look back, it's over, right? And I think not enough scholarship has gone into this idea that Vonnegut himself considered this book a failure, and it's ironically his most popular, most celebrated, most, people consider it his masterpiece and all of that. Just something I noticed. Let me know what you think. But on page 23, when he says, right, he tells us the truth on page 22, that it begins like this: listen, Billy Pilgrim has come unstuck in time. And of course, that's how that starts, very next page on chapter 2. Listen, It's almost a disclaimer. He's almost disclaiming the novel, like he's telling a story around a campfire or something. So it makes sense that it's almost more tell than show. It's not so much clever as it is practical, I would think, in terms of beginning the novel this way with a kind of listen up, I'm talking, like kind of an old man telling a story, etc., which I guess is what he considered himself. I don't know that for a fact. And you all know how I feel about, biography as scholarship for literature. I just, let's avoid that. Although Vonnegut...
inner resources, American resources.
Being bored?
Some activities are intentional, right?
It shows such a lack of gratitude for life. Bored. I aspire to boredom, I should say.
Bored. Heavy.
I am heavy.
Bored.
Has you the night sweats and the day sweats, pal? Pal, I do.